Okay, so let me go ahead and get the intro kicked off here. So in today's Take30, we are going to focus on Amazon QuickSight, which is Amazon's BI and analytics service. We'll discuss its features and architecture, talk a bit about the pricing model, and then finally we'll give you a quick demo. So at this point, I'm actually going to light up a poll and have you respond. We'll have that up for 30 seconds here. So go ahead and jump into the poll. So thanks for that. So first I want to remind you of our BI calendar events for Take30. In the upcoming sessions, we're going to focus on a couple of Cognos topics and a Power BI topic, and then we're going to be adding sessions beyond that. As always, if you have suggestions for future topics, just drop us a note at here2help@ironsidegroup.com. And you know, this basically is our mantra, right? At Ironside, we view every interaction with our clients through the lens of business outcomes. You know, we want to help our clients use data to make better decisions about their business. Okay, quick overview of Ironside's capabilities. From our perspective, data and analytics are critical for decision making in any organization, especially now. So, you know, when deploying or enhancing analytic capability, we at Ironside see these steps in the center of this wheel as critical to any successful implementation. And this model outlines how Ironside can assist your organization with all of the 6 steps, no matter where you are in the journey. Okay, some quick intros for today. So there's myself, Scott Masage. I'm the practice director for BI at Ironside. I'm joined by Chris Zeller, who is our AWS business lead, Suresh, who's an engagement manager on my team, and then Glenn, who's a senior consultant on my team as well. So just a note, as we go through the presentation and demo, we encourage you to submit questions via the question box in the GoToWebinar app, and then we'll take questions at the end. Okay, so I'll hand it to Chris.
Yes, good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending this morning. Just a little bit about our relationship with Ironside. We've been a partner now for a few years, moving through their tiers of partnerships and working on a number of their competency programs, specifically in the data and analytics domain. We hope to get to a bit of a mile marker on the relationship and the advanced status here in a few weeks, actually. One of the things that we've done with them is contributed on the QuickSight gallery, which is a way for customers to see some use cases in addition to what you'll see from Scott later today. For folks that have any experience in the looking at AWS certifications, it's something that they take very seriously, and we currently have 18 accredited and credentialed consultants on staff. And we're very close aligned, and this is one of the exciting things, is we've been able to participate with the product development team on the data for AWS's data platform services. So with that, that's a little bit of background of the relationship. You'll hear a little bit from me later, but Scott?
So, you know, quick overview of Amazon QuickSight. So first and foremost, with QuickSight, there are no servers or software to manage, maintain, or deploy. You can certainly scale to tens of thousands of users with no infrastructure management at all. You know, this offers you peace of mind despite increasing data volumes, data complexity, analytics complexity, and user scale. So second, QuickSight is fast and highly performant. Unlike traditionally server-based BI platforms, concurrent users or increased user interactions do not slow down the system, right? It's auto-scaling. QuickSight is fully integrated with AWS. You can build an entire end-to-end analytics ecosystem in AWS. So the ML Insights, machine learning is baked into QuickSight. It offers you contextual and relevant insights, forecasting and anomaly detection, not just charts, right? So your consumers don't need to look at a chart and then try to interpret it. The ML Insights offers that interpretation automatically. QuickSight is a secure and global platform with end-to-end encryption. High availability is native to QuickSight, and it's available in 10 global regions. Okay. You can provide access to all users via desktop and mobile and pay only for usage. So with QuickSight, there are no upfront costs, no minimums, no annual commitments required, and very importantly, no charges for inactive users. QuickSight is easy to develop and maintain. You can design with the QuickSight and then perform integrations with APIs. You can easily create dashboard templates and replicate dashboards across accounts, customers, or teams. You can quickly secure data with row-level security and publish into applications via APIs with the AWS SDK. And then finally, you can embed QuickSight into applications and end-user workflows to enable analytics in a short amount of time. You can leverage themes to match your application or corporate branding. And you can make changes to embedded deployments without the need for developers. Okay, so on the previous slide, we introduced the concept of serverless, right? No servers are needed. So, no servers to install, configure, and manage, and auto scaling for fast, consistent performance. So, if we compare and contrast QuickSight to server-based BI architectures that are more traditional in nature, basically with a server-based architecture, the more users I have, the more complex I make my content. That means the more servers I need to typically purchase and maintain. So if I have a need to serve a globally disparate user community, typically that means I need to invest in additional hardware and resources and make decisions about where to put them. That is not the case with QuickSight, right? It's I can deploy as needed, no need to manage an infrastructure. High availability. If I want my environment to be highly available, again, in a traditional server-based BI architecture, I need more servers and I need more management, and I also need more testing to ensure that my system stays up should disaster strike. With QuickSight, high availability is just built in. All right. Quick overview of the features. So QuickSight certainly offers a lot of features that we all consider to be table stakes these days, right? Things like filters, prompts, drill down, conditional formatting, many types of visualizations, including geospatial, custom themes that I can create, calculated columns and data sets. There's the mobile, there's a mobile app for QuickSight that allows me to consume dashboards on my phone or tablet. Again, geospatial awareness and rendering are part of the tool. You can output to CSV. You can schedule dashboards and distribute them via email. So in addition to those many table stakes features, there are a lot of features in the tool that are new to the concept of enterprise reporting. We're going to get into those next. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is ML insights. So, again, machine learning is baked into QuickSight. This takes the form of anomaly detection, forecasting, integration with AWS SageMaker, and then finally auto-generated narratives and summaries. So these features give you the ability to put insights and context on a dashboard, not just charts. Again, you're kind of moving ahead of the curve, and instead of just showing the KPI and leaving it to the consumer to interpret, you're providing the interpretation for them. Okay. So want to talk a bit about dashboard embedding. So because of the serverless nature of QuickSight, its ease of use and functionality, as well as the pricing model, QuickSight aligns well with the embedding use case. So embedding is a capability important to externally facing web applications, but in the past, integrations of this type were economically challenging due to legacy licensing structures. And as you'll see on our pricing slide, there's an advantage to using QuickSight when it comes to pricing and that sort of the embedded experience. Okay. So this slide represents a very high-level overview of how QuickSight works. So QuickSight connects to your data sources. Authors create what are known as data sets. And based on those data sets, authors create analyses. These analyses can be published as fully interactive read-only dashboards that are consumed by readers on any device. So real quick summary there, and we're going to get into more detail. Okay, so In terms of data connectivity, this is a good story. QuickSight can connect to a variety of data sources, including flat files and Excel, applications and databases from a variety of vendors, and these databases can be and applications can be on premises or in the cloud, right? So really no limitations there. Also want to talk a bit about SPICE. So SPICE is a very important component of the QuickSight architecture. SPICE stands for Super Fast Calculation Engine and is a hybrid of columnar and in-memory technologies developed by AWS. So by default, with the Enterprise Edition, you can store up to 10 gigabytes of data per author with the option to purchase more should you need it. You have the ability to refresh SPICE-based data sets on a schedule or on an ad hoc basis should the need arise. So some additional information about SPICE. It's incredibly fast and resilient with fault tolerance and high availability built right into it. Okay, so you don't need to worry about backups here. That's all taken care of. Okay. In terms of the pricing model, with Enterprise Edition, so there are two editions. There's Enterprise Edition and Standard Edition. We've chosen here to focus on Enterprise Edition as that's the edition that we think most of our clients would be interested in. So with Enterprise Edition, the cost for an author is $18 per month with an annual contract, slightly more if you want to go month to month. And again, the author role is the one where that can create data sets, create analyses, and create dashboards. Then you have readers, which is generally a consumer persona. The cost is 30 cents a session with a maximum cost of $5 per month. So if they use it once, if they use a dashboard once and for one session, which is defined as 30 minutes, it's 30 cents. If they went in every day, again, the maximum cost per month for a reader is $5. Let's take you through a scenario. So let's assume that we've got 500 users who access a dashboard once a week. We've got another 500 readers who are heavy consumers of the dashboard, and then 20 authors. So the 500 readers who consume once a week, that cost is $600 per month. So then you add on the 500 readers that max out $5 a month. That's another $2,500. To that, you add the 20 authors, and your total monthly spend is about $3,500. Okay. So, and now with this price, you have all the server capacity you need without having to pay for any infrastructure or related management costs. Okay. So, who's using QuickSight? So these are a couple of the several of the different organizations that are leveraging QuickSight today. So the NFL leverages it for next-gen stats, which typically you will see on every Sunday. There's some reference to next-gen stats. Amazon uses it internally for reporting, and Best Western has leveraged it to migrate from Cognos to QuickSight for reporting. All right, so let me turn it over to Chris for our point of view on QuickSight.
Thanks, Scott, and good to be with you guys again. So I think one of the interesting, or we think one of the a number of the interesting things for customers to consider is the cloud native architecture of the tool. When the product was brought to market, it was potentially at some levels an MVP from a functionality perspective, but the product team thought, and the leadership of AWS, that building cloud native tools, very much like Scott described, would ultimately be a differentiator in the market, right? So AWS, they certainly play the long game. They did a lot of the heavy lifting to build out the engineering associated with having a tool be cloud native. So as opposed to potentially looking at some strategic things in the marketplace, there would be a lot of engineering associated with bringing in a tool to run on the platform in the ways that QuickSight does today. So a lot of that is to say that a lot of the heavy lifting has been done. A lot of the functionality has increased significantly, particularly since our work with it for the last 2 years. It is very much, as Scott pointed out, some of the features and emerging features that you'll see. It's very much an emerging platform. It has a lot of parity with the tools in the marketplace, and other places it's even more mature, particularly in some of the components around machine learning. It's a growing team within AWS. The rate of innovation is difficult to almost stay on top of, where they release monthly. We get a lot of view into what they're doing, and it's extremely exciting where the platform is going. Where you see a lot of the customer adoption has been where customers are building out data lakes on AWS, where they're leveraging EMR for big data, where they're leveraging SageMaker for AI and ML applications, and they're looking for a visualization tier. As Scott mentioned before, on the security side, right? The fact that you're able to provide your visualization and the same security model, the same encryption that you have with your data, and not have to really put a lot of effort into securing that onto and leverage another tool. It's a big deal, right? And customers are really starting to adopt as they see the tool enhance and get parity and advance. And as Scott, and just the last point here, as Scott was talking about, and the team at AWS is very focused on, it's kind of insights for everyone, right? So how do we provide BI at scale? And they've done that from a pricing model perspective and the cloud native architecture. So Scott?
Thank you, Chris. So I know we're at 10:20 now. So there is a demo. The demo probably takes another 10 minutes, but I thought I would open it up and see if anyone had any questions. I don't see any in the chat window yet, but if you got some questions, perhaps you can put those in the question window. Let's take 30 seconds and see if any questions appear, and I will switch over to begin to switch over to the demo. So just to give a background on the demo, so we created this by leveraging public data sets. So we took 3 years of ride history from Boston Blue Bikes, which is a ride sharing firm, and we also leveraged some climate data from NOAA. We imported this data into Amazon RDS. We spun up a MySQL instance in RDS. So the data set has about 5.4 million rows. We are leveraging Spice for best performance, and we implemented a number of calculations inside the data set. Okay. All right, so I don't see any questions yet, so I'm going to go ahead and flip to the demo. First thing I want to do is look at the data set. So, all analyses and dashboards in QuickSight start with a data set. In this case, again, we're using a data set from MySQL. This actually goes against a view. I've added a few calculated fields here. Let's look at the first one called generation. So we can quickly just edit this. All right, so basically, this calculated field is an if-then-else that takes rider birth year and assigns a category, a generational category to it. As you can see, there are a number of functions available, including ones for operations, string manipulation, logic, and dates. Each function has a hyperlink to the documentation for further information. So this one epic date, if I wanted to click on that, it would take me to the documentation. So pretty easy to use, and there's validation when you save. Okay, so let's go back to the data set. I can set the data type for each field in the data set. I can rename fields to be more user-friendly and choose to include them in the data set along with a number of other capabilities. I can join tables from the same database in this interface, or I can join to other sources such as files in S3. So that's known as cross-source joins. I can also join to uploaded files and other databases. I can even write custom SQL to query data sources. And last, you'll note that I have chosen to ingest this data set into Spice for best performance. You can see it up here. Okay, so I'm going to get out of the data set and go into my analysis. So again, as an author, I can create the data set and I create analysis. So in this case, let's walk through some of the functionality. This is our existing dashboard. So if we go to the left, we see a number of different functionality options. Right here, just to the right of that, you are seeing our data set and the fields in it. Below that, we can see some of the visualization types that are available. And then on the right, we have our canvas. So if we look at the analysis itself, we've got a number of what are called insight widgets across the top row. We created these with the auto insights feature of QuickSight, which we'll cover in a minute. The next row has a number of visualizations that are pretty typical for a dashboarding tool, right? You've seen things like this before. So let me click on the ridership by age group visual first, which is right here in the middle. And this is the one, this actually leverages that calculated column called generation. And now if I click on millennials, you'll note that all the other elements on this ride metrics tab, we have a tabbed interface up here, right? All the other elements here are filtered by this choice. This is an example of what is called a filter action, and it can be refined such that it impacts just this visual, some of the visuals, or all the visuals on a tab, okay? So if I go over here to the which groups use our bikes the longest and click on customer, which is a user category, right? In the bike sharing system, you've got two kinds of users, those who are more ad hoc, who are, walk-ups, or those who sign up for a subscription. So if I click on customer here, what you'll notice happen is that I've applied what are known as cascading filters. So I first filtered by millennials on that center donut chart, and then I went to this bar chart and filtered on customer. So now everything is filtered by both of those values. Okay, so I can see the impact of that here. If I click on the filter icon here, both of those filters are applied. Okay, but now I can quickly get rid of those filters. Okay. Another feature is the ability to drill down. So again, if I go back to the ridership by generation donut chart, I can drill down in actually two different ways. So the first way I can do it is to right-click on one of the segments. So if I right-click on millennials and say drill down to user type, I actually drill down, and now I'm seeing, so that the child category to generation in this case is the user type. So now I'm seeing the distribution of user type over the 3 million millennials. Okay, so I can go back up to the original view now. The other way I can drill down is to leverage this drill down interface over here on this flyout menu. When I drill down there, I'm actually drilling down on all the generations, on all the data to show the relationship between customer and subscriber. Okay, so again, both those ways to drill down are built into the product. Okay, as you noticed as I was moving around here, tooltips are part of the product where it's showing me the value, the percentage represented by the segment of the donut. Understand that I can turn on those values if I want to. I just have chosen to clean up the interface a bit. Okay, we have the ability to leverage prompts, right? So in the QuickSight world, they're known as controls, and they live up here. So I have the ability to have this control where I can, if I want to look at this entire dashboard from the perspective of just customers, I've just done it. Okay, so and then I can return that to where I was originally. So these prompts can be driven by static values, or they can be pulled from a data set dynamically. I can choose to make these multi-select, single select, free text box, or a slider. Okay. So continuing on, let me move down to this forecast. So this trend chart here, select it, shows historical ridership, but I've added a forecast to it beyond January 1st of 2020. So we have data up until December 31st of 2019, and anything beyond this is a forecast. Okay, so the line in the middle is the expected forecast value, and then I've got a range between the upper bound and the lower bound. So I've set this to be 14 months into the future at a 90% prediction interval, but those values can be adjusted. You also have the ability, and I'm showing it here, to forecast to prior periods, right? And this is a great way to help you understand the accuracy of the model. All right, and before I leave this particular tab, I want to highlight the Auto Insights feature. So if we go back to our ridership by age group visualization, if I go over to the left and click on Insights, you'll see that a number of different auto-generated insights show up. And if I like any of these, I can simply go here, click on the plus, and that insight will get added to my dashboard. And in fact, that's how I generated these top 4 insights. So let's move on to the Routes and Stations tab. So this is just some routing and station information that I added to the visualization. I wanted to have them on a separate page. So what we're seeing here is a visualization where we're leveraging geospatial and ridership data to understand which endpoint stations, so where rides terminated, are the most popular, broken down by user type. The size of the circle represents, the volume, the ridership. Okay. As is typical in geospatial visualizations, I can pan around by grabbing and dragging. I'm using my mouse to kind of scroll in, zoom out. But I can also add other actions to this. So if I left click on the station that is at Kenmore Square, right, which is this one, okay, you'll note down below, down here, that the list object I had changed, it updated. Okay, so what is going on? So this station details data down at the bottom is actually coming from a different data set than my original data set. Okay, so I'm able to filter across data sets, across visualizations, across data sets, using what are known as mapped columns. Okay, so if I go back up here, and instead of left clicking, if I right click, I have a number of different actions that show up as well. And these are ones that I added, and I'll show you 2 that are called URL actions. So in this case, I've selected Kenmore Square, and if I click on the Street View URL action, I'm able to pass the latitude and longitude to Google Maps, right? So in this case, we are in Kenmore Square. That's the iconic Sitco sign that's right outside of Fenway. And if I move around here, there are the bikes. So that is the Kenmore Square Blue Bikes bike station. Okay. All right. So if I close this down, I've also created another URL action for a transit map. So this goes to a slightly different place. So what I might want to do here is understand, okay, where are the bikes? They're here, right? We can see them here. And what sort of transit, what transit is nearby? So you can see here that this is the Kenmore T station, and it tells me which branches the Green Line are served by this, and what bus routes stop here, as well as kind of the typical what's nearby functionality of Google Maps. Okay. Okay, and then finally, I can leverage a filter action called Same Sheet Visuals on the map to impact the two insight widgets that are here. So again, if I right-click on Kenmore Square data point and then click on same sheet filter, Kenmore Square is the end station, so that's what's showing up as the top. The top end station for Kenmore Square is the two Kenmore Square ones, and then on the left, the top 5 starting stations. So those are the top 5 starting locations that end at Kenmore Square. So interesting information there, and again, it's easy to build in these actions. Okay, so this is an analysis. One needs an author license to create analyses, but as an author, you can create what are known as dashboards for readers. So let me go out and show you the dashboard that I created for this. Okay, as you can see, the interface is a bit simplified here, but understand that all the functionality is here as well. So, again, I still have the ability to drill down. If I go to the routes and stations, if I go to the geospatial, I still have the ability to do the street view, the transit map, all of that, right? So it's read only, but it's fully interactive. The other thing to know about dashboards, they can be printed, they can be scheduled and emailed, and they can be shared. So again, this aligns with that consumer persona, whereas the author is the one generating the content. Okay, so that is the demo. So let me take a look and see if we've got some questions. Okay. So we have a first question. Let me read it out here. So our data warehouse and ODS databases are on-prem. How do we connect to those sources with QuickSight? So Suresh, I don't know if you want to take a shot at that one.
Yeah, sure, Scott. Yeah, typically customers leverage like VPN or AWS Direct Connect to create a dedicated network from the on-prem data center to AWS. And the Direct Connect is compatible with all of the AWS services you might use, including S3, EC2, VPC, and connecting to any like Redshift or any data lakes built on S3. So typically, that's how they connect on-prem databases to be used in QuickSight.
Okay, thanks, Suresh. Okay, so we got another question. Is role-level security supported in QuickSight? So Glenn, I don't know if you want to take a shot at that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's actually quite simple to implement. You basically just create a security table as a data set, and that table's got to contain user ID or group as well as the field you want to secure. And once you do that, you just go in and apply that table as a security to permissions, to the data set you want to secure.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, another question. Are there tools to make it easy to migrate from enterprise legacy reporting tools to QuickSight? So Chris, I don't know if you got any thoughts there.
Yes, Scott. So it's a very popular question, and things that we are taking on as a firm and a larger conversation with the AWS team. So I think you'll see some exciting things from us and from AWS here in the coming months ahead.
Okay, great. Okay. So there's a question, is this tool better than Tableau? Okay, so comparing and contrasting this tool to Tableau as pertains to machine learning and dashboard reporting. I think the answer to that, there's no simple answer to that question. It all depends on what specific features within those two functionalities you're using, right? I think, so I guess from our perspective, and Chris covered it earlier, QuickSight is increasingly at parity with other tools in the space. but also moving ahead with other functional areas. So I think to answer that question, we need to know a bit deeper about what specific features within those feature sets are important, right? And then do a compare and contrast on those. Okay. So I think those are the questions. We're 9 minutes over, so I do appreciate you all sticking around. If you have more questions or want to learn more about QuickSight, certainly feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to have a conversation. So and again, we've got upcoming sessions as well. We're going to take your feedback from the poll, probably turn that into an additional session. So with that, we will wrap the Take 30. Thank you very much for joining, and have a great day.